Exclusive.
Is mine. You will be next.
Yo, what up, guys? Hope you're doing well. You know, a part of me wants to apologize. I mean, granted, I'm 2 weeks late to this situation. But at the same time, I mean, I think I can make up for it with today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed, man. Shout out to my artists. We've been working on a lot more stuff for this channel, and I can't wait for, for it to be ready and we debut it. But anyway, hope you guys doing well, man, in my absence. So, a lot to say, a lot to unpack, a lot on my mind, and a lot of you were probably expecting me to do a victory lap. A lot of you are probably expecting me to do the usual "I told you so." Here's the thing, and this is where this video is gonna definitely just be honest, like always. To the idiots that claim I'm doing this, that, and the third, or I did X amount, all these things with the channel and, me talking, vice versa. I did this because of this, that, and the third. I want you to answer this very, very important question before we get into, what needs to be talked about. What exactly did I gain from being honest about PlayStation? Don't worry, I'll wait. What did I gain from, in your words, in your version of me, and your implementation of me, or whatever, or interpretation of me, can't even speak. In your way of looking at me, you see me as a grifter, you see me as a hater of PlayStation, or just a complainer of PlayStation. What did I get out of PlayStation? What did I get on this channel from me being honest or being the quote unquote grifter? What did I get? The answer is very simple: nothing. As it currently stands, PlayStation still has more canceled games than new games. PlayStation still is upcharging you for controllers. PlayStation just recently, yes, I'm talking, this just happened. They just upped the price of PlayStation 5 Pro and PlayStation, like I told you they were going to do. But I mean, this shouldn't even be a surprise at this point. But again, I told you it was going to happen. And what's even more crazy about this, this price increase couldn't have happened at an even worse time, because in 3 days we got Snake Eater about to drop. And the PS5 Pro runs Snake Eater worse than the base PlayStation 5.
Those explosive barrels all conspire to tank that frame rate during combat, and we're more realistically operating at between 30 to 50 FPS. I've taken the more run and gun approach in this case, but even sticking to stealth, this does sadly fall outside the VRR window on PS5. In comparing the two PS5 machines directly with a matched route, the base model is enjoying up to a +7 FPS advantage over Pro hardware. Every segment of the jungle, it seems, takes preference to the lower LOD and GI settings of base PS5's performance.
That's right. The PS5 Pro runs Snake Eater worse than the PS5 Pro, and you guys think GTA 6 is going to run like some damn treat on PS5 Pro. Yeah, no, couldn't be me. It couldn't be me. Like I said, man, the amount of stuff that's happened in this generation is going to be studied. Because when we get into PlayStation 6, mind you, with Intergalactic, being the final Naughty Dog game for this generation, that being cross-gen, probably, it'd be crazy if it's day-and-date PC, but again, that'd be even more funny. But, that game going, it's going to be funny looking at the PS6 generation and then looking back at this gen and see where that goes. But like I told you beforehand, man, the industry has changed, and a lot of things that built PlayStation don't carry the same weight. Now, granted, to us, it carried a lot of weight. Exclusives, obviously, I've been a big, talker of exclusives. I stood by them for years. That's one of the main things we fought for during the PS4 gen when I became a content creator here with you guys. We talked about it every day. We debated a lot of people about it. I was literally reminiscing this with Porter Rock. Not too long ago, I was on his channel. If you guys want to check that out, I'll have a link in the description. But I had a good conversation with him about it. It was long overdue, by the way, too. But again, just looking back, It's crazy how we went from those type of conversations when we were all having just, debates, having friendly debates, having friendly conversations, actually talking about in these conversations, we were talking about stuff that actually benefits the consumer, us. Now we're at a point where dudes are literally on their knees damage controlling for the very company that literally was a millisecond away from screwing us over with the PS4 gen. Remember, Sony was about to go all in the same way Microsoft did with the always online requirements for PlayStation, until we as a community spoke up, demanded better, and we put our foot down and we made change. But you know what's crazy? All you have to do is just do a little bit of, all you got to do is do like a little research on yours truly, and you would know that I was there with you day one. We were doing our live reactions. We were talking about this. We were honest back then. PlayStation 4 wasn't just a console to us. That was a reawakening. That was a revelation for us. That let us know that we determine where this industry goes. A lot of you have forgotten that it's us who dictates where this industry goes. A lot of you have chosen to be ignorant in regards to where you stand as a consumer and would rather damage control and fight for a corporation that literally will tell you flat out and literally have just told you flat out that exclusivity is done with the corporation. It's done. See, it's one thing that Sony, and let's go ahead and put this on the screen. It's one thing that Sony is saying that they're moving away from the hardware-centric business and going more into the monthly active users type of conversation. This is the very same conversation that they've had with Microsoft. Microsoft had this. Phil Spencer said this exact same thing when they were talking about monthly active users being the main thing they're pushing. They're not really focused more so on the hardware. Granted, hardware will be important. These are Phil Spencer's words, mind you. How did this now? This sounds exactly like PlayStation, by the way. But again, hardware will always be important, but that monthly active service is where we're at. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. I mean, we're at a point where it makes sense they're going to do this. No. See, where a lot of you fail to realize is this. Sony and especially Hiroki Totoki know that they don't need first-party exclusives to sell a PlayStation 6. In fact, people have already exposed themselves by saying the following thing that I'm about to say. You had dudes going out here saying shit like, yo, it doesn't matter where these games go. It doesn't matter what Sony does. I don't care. At the end of the day, I'm just going to buy my games and I'm going to buy my PS6 day one. Now, out of all the things you think Sony's looking at, you really think they're looking at a fake petition of dudes crying about games going this where, X amount of places? No, they don't care about that sort of things. They care about money. And here's the thing. If you were this passionate about these games the way you are projecting them online, because this goes back to my argument that I've always made about people wanting to be in a conversation rather than be part of a solution. Dudes will love to be part of a conversation. They love to be included in everything. But when it comes to standing on business, they're nowhere to be found. And this is why I said that. It doesn't matter where you stand at this point in terms of exclusives. It doesn't matter if you like them or you dislike them. The big picture is they're going away. There is more money for these corporations in multi-platform than there ever is beforehand. Steam is too big to pass up, and the fact that they now have another opportunity to get more gamers into PlayStation's ecosystem through Xbox, they're not passing up on it. In fact, as it currently stands, Microsoft is the number one publisher in gaming with over 500 monthly active users. PlayStation has topped out at like 125 monthly active users. Let that sink in. Their main business model. In fact, let me just stop talking. You're going to hear from Sean. Not Sean. You're about to hear from Herman Hulst himself. And then we're going to come back. Okay. So let's let Herman Hulst and Nishino explain it. And then we'll come back. Let's go ahead and run that.
Yes. And you're quite right that we're continuously exploring new ways for players to interact with their franchises. It's important to realize that we're really thoughtful about bringing our franchises off console to reach new audiences, and that we're taking a very measured, a very deliberate approach in doing that. Particularly on the single player side, our tentpole titles, there's such a differentiated, the point of differentiation, I should say, for the PlayStation console. They're real showcases of the performance, of the quality of the hardware. So we want to ensure that players get the best experience from these titles. And we're very thoughtful about how and how we bring these titles to other platforms.
Yeah. So like I said, their main way of going about this is monthly active users. You see it with your own, you heard it with your, you've seen it with your own eyes and you heard it with your own ears. That's what they're going for. What's crazy about this, you got people still in the damage control stage when you even got Sean Layton face palming with the God of War gif with Kratos. He knows that what this means, just like we all know what this means. But of course, you got people who think they know anything about gaming, even though they don't game. You got people who act like they have an inkling of business sense and they have none, trying to dictate and try to act like they have any information whatsoever of what's going on. They have nothing. They're not in the board meeting. People are still trying to go off of the past of what Sony did in the past, when instead of looking at what's going on with Sony now. All the stuff that you guys are saying that Sony wouldn't do back then, they've already done. Opening their platform, they've already done. Day-and-day releases, they're already doing with PC. Third parties, publishing and pushing, they're already done it. They're already doing it with PlayStation publishing. I'm sorry. It's over. I don't know what more to say to you. It's a wrap. But y'all continue to fight this fight, and y'all look silly every single step of the way. And again, if y'all want to sit here and be ignorant, be ignorant. I don't care. But one thing I'm not going to do is lose any more sleep over it. Or I won't lose a fraction of sleep over it. I've told you countless times, and I will continue to tell you countless times. You do not buy the games you run your mouths about. You just don't. You don't. A lot of you will rather wait for sale, but then you will try to debate me over games being $70. The same person who likes to debate people and run their mouths about, gamers got no problem with paying $70 are the same ones now protesting and crying that games are $80. These are the same ones, mind you, at the start of this generation telling people to get into a new tax bracket. But hey, we're the problem, right? It's bad enough. And the crazy thing is, a lot of you who watch idiots who say shit like this, y'all know what the problem is, but y'all don't want to be honest. Listen to me. Listen to me very, very carefully. And listen to me very clear. I'm always going to be me. I am never going to falter. If I stand on something, I stand on something. If I believe on something, I believe it. And everything in my fiber of being told me we were heading down this direction. And it told me that we were already prepped and primed for this direction at the start of this gen, when dudes would rather argue and damage control for corporations that they'll never work for or never have any affiliation with, to try and make themselves seem good or to try and gain subs and bullshit super chats. This is the shit people cared about. Seriously, this is the legit shit that most of these clowns cared about. They cared about super chats. They cared about channel members. They cared about all that bullshit. Dudes was not letting that shit go. In fact, that's one of their main arguments. Why do y'all support these type of channels? Why do you support, I don't know, it's Alex or Watch Big Cloud and all this shit? Now you look at the situation now, notice that they're quiet. Notice that, right? They got nothing to say. They can't spin it. They can't flip it. They can't do nothing. Everything is exactly the way Microsoft is doing it with PlayStation now. In fact, some people are so stupid that they think that this has something to do with getting numbers and shit from Xbox or data from Xbox, even though PlayStation and Xbox are legit forming a fucking partnership as it is, with them fucking working together with Helldivers and giving us a Halo and Helldivers fucking collaboration. If you think that this is just one game going to fucking Xbox, you're stupid. Spider-Man is definitely heading over there. That game is going to print money for them. it's heading over there. There's too much money to be left on the table here. There's too much value to the consumer to have options, and Sony's catching up with it. This is why I'm happy. We have options. Because think about it. In fact, no. Let me stop myself. Because a lot of people are like, well, no, I don't like it. I prefer the old regime. Okay. Here's the thing. As someone who grew up with the old regime, the Sean Laytons and everything, let's take a little step back. Because Sean Layton did 2 interviews. One was with Hip Hop Gamer. Great interview. He said he would green light all the games that I wanted this generation. Awesome. That's cool. But until you look at the reality of the situation, you see Sean Layton said something that was very, anti-us in a sense, in regards of us not benefiting at all. And why do I say it's anti-us? Well, as you guys already know, at the start of this generation, games went from 60 to 70, right? This was a big turning point for this community. Gamers became picky. Dudes called me stupid. Look at them. Games barely selling. Now games are $80. Let's go ahead and put this on the screen for Sean Layton. This is courtesy of Sean Layton. He said, it says, and I quote, courtesy of VGC, former PlayStation boss Sean Layton says that price of video games should have increased with every new generation to cover the tighter margins created by increase in development costs. So when you put that into, like, we just look at that right now, right? And we did like a little skip backwards in time into like a what if type of scenario type of universe where exclusives were still being pushed by PlayStation and Sean was still in charge. Guess how much these games probably would have cost at the start of this generation? Do you really think it would have been $70 at the start of this gen? I don't. I believe they would have been $80 at the start of this generation. And here's the fun fact. We would have saw everything that you're seeing crumbling with these studios and games not selling. You would have saw an even bigger domino effect of it as going forward, because by the time we got to this point in this generation, especially with console prices going up again, the games probably would have hit $90 with that price increase. So you would have said goodbye to even more studios. Completely. Especially when you got this vocal community, this quote unquote passionate community that cares so much about PlayStation. They're not buying these games. If they're not buying them at 70, what makes you think they're going to buy them at 80? And what the hell makes you think you're going to see hardly a fraction of them buy it at 90? You see where I'm going with this? Gaming has gone into that category to where it's no longer a hobby that's catering to us. It used to be our hobby, a cheap alternative to get away from the crazy world, and we can have our fun and just chill. Now it's gotten to that point where it's a crutch on the wallet to not just the consumer and everybody. This is why I said options are good. I'm not saying Sony needs a Game Pass, but let me tell you something. It would have been great if Sony had options to lessen the blow, especially on these prices, so that more gamers can experience these games day one and have more options. I'm just saying. Now look at it. More people are talking about Game Pass than ever before. And meanwhile, PlayStation Plus, everybody's now looking at PlayStation Plus side-eyed as what exactly is the value in PS Plus. Because think about it. PC gamers get exactly what you get as a PlayStation gamer. Only they get not even a fraction of what we get. No PlayStation Plus subscription required to play the games. No paywalls or anything in regards to cloud saves and all this shit. None of that. It's literally you play the game and you buy the game, and you play it as is, no restrictions. But they're also getting additional options with additional incentives to get into PS Plus in regards to linking your account to PlayStation Network. These are things that are on PC. And this is why, it's funny because people think that more games are not going to make their way over here. It's like, bro, the PC community has been given the full catered treatment and PlayStation users have been giving nothing. In fact, you've got more controllers than you got in games. And it's funny, Jack Wu gets put on a lot of heat for this, where he says, like, I think PlayStation just lost a lot of money, and that's why they're, nickel and diming us with these controllers. I actually do agree with him. I mean, think about it. $3.2 billion in regards to Bungie That's number one. Then we go to Concord and its failure, which led to the closure of studios. We've had multiple games that have been canceled, like the Twisted Metals, the Factions 2s, the God of War live service games, and so forth. All those games that I just mentioned, those three games I just mentioned, had a budget of at least $200 million going upwards. Because remember, that was made in 2024 or 2021-ish to 2024-ish, where development cost was in the 200 millions. So again, it's not hard to piece that together. And as far as Fair Games had a very bad reception at the start, or not just the start, but in its latest playtest, if I remember correctly, and people were talking about that. Now we're talking about Marathon. Marathon got delayed indefinitely because of the plagiarism situation, but also the game did not look like it was up to snuff at all, and that game was going to be terrible. And Sony cannot afford another fucking failure like that. And the crazy thing is, it's inevitable that Marathon's going to fail again. It's inevitable. Nobody cares for it. Jade Raymond is not even a part of the studio anymore with Fair Games. She's gone. So what exactly is people celebrating, talking about some, well, PlayStation's still making live service games. This counteracts the point. We're still getting live service games. As if that's going to help your argument. You see, the reason why Sony's still doing live service games is that there's a potential for them to make a game that is lightning in a bottle. Helldivers was a good example of this, right? But there's other ways they can go about it and make better games and get games out there. But the reason why they want that too is because you got people who are willing to invest a ridiculous amount of money into those type of games. You need an example? Look at the guy who spent over $32,000 in 2K, and he was proud of it. But what's funny about that, Cold Classic Cage was talking about that. She was talking about how this is the reason why we're getting in certain bad decisions in terms of this industry. And I agree with her 1,000%. But you know what's funny about that, people? You had a PlayStation dick sucker come out of left field talking about some, oh, you're a brokey. Why you mad? You're a brokey. This shit is why PlayStation continues to fuck you over this entire generation. This is the reason why we don't have PSXs no more. This is the reason PlayStation showcases and state of plays feel like one and the same, because most of the shows are corporatized. They know they don't have to try anymore because there's always some one dickhead with a sock account that fucking damage controls. There's always one dickhead who doesn't game that damage controls for this console or platform that don't know shit. They know they can turn that fucking dial as much as they can and squeeze every inch out of you. And they know this, especially after looking at the shit with The Last of Us. We had over 7 iterations of The Last of Us in this generation alone. Think about that. Sony knows what they're doing. I told you this was going to happen. There's no ifs or buts about it anymore. It's done. If you want to argue and damage control, have at it. Have fun with it. But do me a favor. Don't act like you ever speak for us. You don't speak for the community. You speak for yourself. You have lost everything in the long run in terms of damage controlling for this platform. You have lost everything in the long run for sitting here lying to yourself, saying that Sony would never do this, that, and the third, even though they've been doing this, that, and the third for months leading up to this moment. And probably the funniest thing that I saw happen in this, and I'm going to end the video with this. Y'all remember the argument that dudes brought at me or threw at me in my face constantly? Big Cloud, the reason why we buy PlayStation consoles is because of exclusives. Yeah, about that. I seen Porter Rock respond to some people like this too, but it's funny. It's funny. I'm seeing comments all over Twitter saying shit like, well, I'm just going to play my games. I don't really care. I don't care where the games go. If Sony wants to quote unquote kill their business, then it doesn't affect me. So thank you for confirming for the longest time what I've already said. You don't give a fuck about exclusivity. It doesn't hurt or affect you, period. It doesn't. All it does is hurt the very studio that you claim you're passionate about. Them having limited storefront and being at the mercy of idiots who don't buy the fucking games and want to pretend they're on the same level or even act like they're on the same level as Nintendo gamers who buy every single fucking thing day one. You are not Nintendo fans. You were never Nintendo-like fans. You will never be on the same level as Nintendo's fan base. And Sony knows this. So guess what? Sony's embracing and has already done and has made the decision to become third party. And that is why you see what you're seeing with PlayStation. It's gotten so glorious to the point where I'm seeing clowns at Icon Era saying the exact same thing and throwing in the towel. So officially, I can say this: RIP to fucking Pony Era. RIP. It was fun while it lasted. Your Twitter went bye-bye. I thought they left as well, but apparently not. They have given up as well. So, I hope you guys enjoy the video, because one thing about me, I have a smile on my face. Let me tell you why I have a smile on my face. Because for the first time this generation, people are legit, and I mean legit, only talking about one thing that truly matters. And you know what that is, people? The video games itself. Whether they're buying the games or playing the games or excited for the games, this is what I'm seeing being talked about. Not this corporate spill, not the bullshit damage control. I mean, granted, you have this dudes that still trying to milk the console war for what it is, but the console war has been over. It's done. There's nothing else that needs to be said. If people want to milk it, go right ahead and milk it. I ain't knocking your hustle, but one thing is for certain, that shit ain't gonna be on my timeline, because you fuckers are done and you guys are cooked. I've called it for the longest time, and I'm tired of being right. It's done. So, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you have made it this far, I appreciate you. Hit that like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you are new, and I'll catch you guys later. And until next time, y'all be blessed. Y'all be easy. It's your boy Bit, the one and only, the truth. I'll hit you guys later, man. Peace.